beginning it was not so. We're in a mess now, but in the beginning it was not so. We need to retrace our step and see how far we can go. And I think the closer we go to the beginning, the further we'll go into our future. So may God bless us. Our theme, let's greet those also who are in other platforms. You are part of this. Don't feel isolated. Even though we may not always be addressing you directly, but you are part of us and we welcome you. And I'm sure when it is question and answer, you'll be able to do something, I don't know. But we want you to feel like you're part of this environment. It's beautiful here in northern part of Pretoria. The Lord is good. So you're all welcome. Our theme for this men's conference, and I must say that we need more of these. And I'm sure by the time we get to the end of our meeting, we really need this. We're in trouble. We really need to come together, guys. It's tough. The theme is real men. And it won't take us long. By the end of this day, we will realize that while it is true that all men are males, but not all males are men. So we're not talking about the real males here. We're talking about the real men. Of course, you have to be a male to be a man, but it takes more than just being a male. It takes more than the posture you assume when you go to the bathroom to be man, real man. It's a challenge, and I will argue forcefully so and convincingly that without God we can't do this. I promise you, whoever tried to cheat us and lie to us that we can do this, it's not true, it's not happening. But let me also say that I'm proud that we have these men who could make it. Men don't want to come to such conferences because you feel exposed. You don't want to come to such conferences. You see, general men are leaders and they don't want to be led. They don't want to be told. I'm running my family. I remember, there's no man who's going to tell me what to do in my family. So I've heard women saying that, I've been trying to talk to my husband that we should go for counseling. He says, no. Not that he's doing anything to remedy the situation. I won't allow another man to tell me what I should do. So it's good to see some of you here who have braved and have come and represent men who would have loved to be here. And you are here because, I'm sure, not because there's going to be any entertainment here. There's no soccer playing here. There's no show of cars. But you are here because you have a burden in your heart. You want to be better men. You want to be real men. There's nothing like a person who realizes his weakness. Yeah. That's strength right there. When you say, you know what, I think let me go there. Let me go there on my own. I'm getting to my car. Our friends may go to the stadium, they may go wherever. I'm going there to that conference. I need help. And I think if we can have more men who are vulnerable, we'll have strong men. So let me say, big up to you for coming here. And like I just said, not that there's something wrong with you, but I know you're doing this thing for a friend, You're trying to be empowered in order to help your friend, okay? So we appreciate that. We really, really appreciate that. Some have said that men have factory fault. They have a factory fault, but I don't agree with that, especially after what the professor said this morning. In the beginning, in the factory, that's not how we came out of the factory. In the beginning, there's no factory fault. The faults we picked up because we're not being serviced. You could come out nicely from the factory, but if you don't follow those 15,000, 10,000 kilometers for service, it's going to be bad. Yeah. So we are here for that. We are here for that. When you come for service, when you have just been servicing, the car sounds like brand new. It reminds you when it was new. So that's the whole idea of being, making men, refashioning men, remolding men. We need those as often as we can at regular intervals. Now let me say also, and I will argue this also later on, that man in his natural state, when you are relaxed with no threat, you are very dangerous. When you are just relaxed, nothing, you are very dangerous. I've said to young men that, and they laugh at me, I said, when you go to see your girlfriend, before you say anything, say to your girlfriend, can we bow our heads with prayer? Says, no, Pastor, these girlfriends will run away from us. They will think that we are weak. I said, that's the problem. They don't know how strong you are. The reason why you pray, it is because you realize how dangerous you are. And you said, lady, for your own sake, let us pray. For your own sake, because men, listen, we are dangerous. A man, these boys, us men, and we've seen this, and women are beginning to realize that. You'll have twins within 9 months, and that guy will be gone. Do you know that a woman can have a child at least once in 9 months? If she seriously wants to have many children, it can only be once in 9 months. But you know that a guy can have 100 in 9 months. Who needs prayer? If it is true that Christianity is basically, it's very simple, and that's the reason why some of us run away from Christianity. It is very simple in its definition. Our relationship to God and our relationship to one another. That's it. Now, if we all agree here, and as Prof said also this morning, and the young men challenged us, if we all agree that there's a problem on the horizontal, there's a problem with the neighbor side. There's a lot of killing. There's a lot of violence perpetrated by men. That means, if that statement is true, that we love God with our heart, with everything that we have, and we love our fellow men, and that is religion, that is Christianity, then we men must be the closest to God if our neighbors will be able to sleep at night. I'm going to say that again. If it is true that for us, what Christianity means is this relationship with God and with men. Love God and worship with all your heart and serve your fellow men. And we see there's a problem on that serving of the fellow men. And the men are actually the principal. They are leading in that destruction. Then which means men, more than women, should be the closest to God. You see, when a man is not close to God and a woman is not close to God, there's going to be problems, but there are more from the men's side. So which means, by definition, we should be closer to God than the women. Because that's what the problem is. But what do you see? You call a women's meeting here, there will be no parking here. There will be, tomorrow, just announce it today. You don't need many days, they'll be full here. Go to churches, you'll see them. Those who are supposed to be closest to God are in the beer halls, are in the stadiums, are in the entertainment areas. Instead of being closer to God, then you know where the problem is. Our neighbors will never sleep until we learn to find our way back to what it was in the beginning. And I promise you, beloved, if God cannot save man, then humanity faces a problem bigger than the pandemic. And I'll just be sharing with you some statistics. Here's our problem, and I've tried to simplify it. I hope it's not too simplistic, because then it distorts the whole thing. But here's our problem, so that we don't forget this. This is where our problem is. The word is violence. Is violence. That's the main word. Is violence. This violence that is perpetrated by men against women and men against men. So the problem with us, when we are behind these pulpits and this forum, we talk about men perpetrating violence against women. No, it's not against women only. It's against men as well. So we are also victims to ourselves, Tina. To our own brothers, Tina. By the way, I'll show you that even men are actually more violated by other men than women are. And so this violence comes in two forms. I'll give you the stats just now. This violence comes in two forms. And at the risk of oversimplifying this, it's an active violence and a passive violence. And I want us to look at it in those two so that we are always clear. We can make that separation in our minds. The active violence and and the passive violence. The active violence is this direct violence. The man physically abusing a woman emotionally or psychologically. The man doing something to hurt, to murder, to kill, to rob. That's active, where blood becomes the evidence that somebody has been violated. Hurt and pain, that's active violence. And that violence, I will show again, that violence is as a result of, especially when it is meted against, when it is gender-based violence, when it is meted against those of the opposite sex, that violence is as a result of abuse of leadership. Abuse of leadership. When leadership has gone wrong. And by the way, I didn't say this, let me say it now. That my take on the topic real men is going to assume the topic that says real men are spirit-filled. Real men are spirit-filled. There are panelist experts who will deal with all aspects of real manhood. But I just want to give this umbrella. It will touch on some of them, that real men are spirit-filled. And I'm saying the cause of active violence is the abuse of leadership. It's abuse of authority. And we're going to talk about that. That's why there's active violence. There's somebody who doesn't understand his role. He thinks that he's here to kill and to murder. And then there's passive violence. Passive violence, it was mentioned also by the young man here. Passive violence is failure to accept the role God has given us. It's failure to accept our leadership roles. It is not active. It is running away. It is disappearing. Passive leadership. Passive violence is absence of fathers, abdication. We are not there. We have not checked in. We are around, but we have not checked in. We are not there. We are not present. Things are happening not because we are doing something. They are happening because we are not doing anything. They happen not because we are present, we are there. They are happening because we are not there. You see, there's violence that is caused by your absence. Just by being absent, there's violence. Nobody's going to say you did this. They'll just say you were absent. That's why it happened. And some of us don't understand that. Some of the guys who are absent are nice guys. They give you money. They give you 50 rand. They go to the filling station. They give tips. They are nice guys. But the problem is they are absent. And because they are absent, there's violence that is caused by their absence. We will talk about that. Absent fathers and present abusive fathers. Let me give you some stats when it comes to active violence. Active violence. 2.6, that must have been some few years ago, I don't know now, but it could be around there. 2.6% of prison inmates, population in prison, are women in South Africa at least. They are women. Why is it that there are only 2.6 inmates in prison of women? The rest are men. Or those in between, I don't know, but the rest are men. But 2.6 are women. Then you see where the problem is. Now let me just on that aspect of prison. South Africa is ranked the third highest crime rate in the world. It is the third highest crime rate in the world. Followed by Nigeria, number 16, but they are number 3. Well, it depends which stats you look at. Some will say number 4, but we are there in the top 5. That's South Africa. But what surprised me is that in one research study that was done, more than 1 in 4 men have admitted to having committed rape. So if I count here 4, so one of you have committed rape. I mean, statistically, I'm not saying one of you. For every 4 men that you see, one has committed rape. Now I'm going to extrapolate from there. So the other one attempted but was afraid. And the other one is thinking about it. No, I'm joking. There's no stats on those. But at least we can take this one home. More than 1 have actually committed rape.
Yes.
Out of 4. What is happening here? What is the problem? This is the stance not only for South Africa, for the world. This was given by one guy who was giving a presentation, who is attached to Harvard University. And quoting the UN stats, he says, a female runs a great risk of assault, physical injury, and murder in her home than in any setting. In her home, some of us here are men and husbands coming from home. The danger is in the home. In my language, the danger is right there in the home. So we need men in the home, husbands who are closer to God, or else that home is going to be turned into hell. Coffins will come as a result of what the men in the home are doing. 87,000 women in the year 2017 were killed. And out of that number, 50,000, which is 58%, were killed at the hands of their partners and family members. Gets more in other countries. 50% of children living in abusive environments are directly abused, not indirectly, directly abused by the same person who's abusing their mother. 90% of children are in the same or next room during an incident of domestic abuse, which means they are abused indirectly.